So today we are going to end this lesson by learning the new topic, a closer look, the Cholas. Okay, so we are moving on to the last topic of the lesson, new kings and kingdoms. A closer look, the Cholas. Now who were Cholas? It is a dynasty from the south part of our India. And as we learn that, the subordinates or Samantas, they overthrew the ruling, the present rule, kingdom or the present king, and they take over that kingdom and they become the ruler of that kingdom. So this is how the Cholas, they become powerful by overthrowing the previous rulers. So that is all about taught us in this last topic of the lesson. So when we will read the content from the textbook, we will come to know about the Chola dynasty, and by overthrowing which dynasty they become more powerful and how they expanded their kingdom in the south part of India, that we are going to read it from the textbook. But to understand what is mentioned in the textbook, we will go through first the PPTs. So it is interesting how feudatories of a king overthrew him and established a new dynasty. This pattern was seen repeated so many times. Take a look at the following story. As I told you, आपण आता इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम मध्ये पण बघतो की आधी अझरुद्दीन आपला कॅप्टन होता, मग नंतर सौरव गांगुली कॅप्टन झाला, मग नंतर सचिन तेंडुलकर कॅप्टन झाला, नंतर धोनी झाला, मग नंतर आता कोण आहे विराट कोहली. सो हाऊ दे change that captaincy. Why I'm giving you such a simple example? So you will understand that the previous ruler will be overthrown by the next successor. But as I've given you the example of captaincy, they are not overthrowing. But because of their capabilities and their age factor, their physical fitness, we have to think about the next captaincy. That is what, but in ruling that kingdom, it is the different criteria over there. Why the successor that takes that rule from the previous kingdom, it is king, it is only because he wanted to become more powerful. So that is why there is a chain of dynasty, there is a sequence of dynasty that we are going to read. And the most important part which is talked in the textbook is about the Chola industry. Then how that Chola industry existed. Previously they were Samantas to some kings, and how they overthrew that king and developed their kingdom, established their kingdom, that is all about in the PPT. So you have to remember the names whatever mentioned in the coming PPTs. Okay. The Satvahana kings were in power around most of Maharashtra and southern India. The Pallavas ruled under the Satvahanas. See the area where it is shown in pink color. This region or this area is ruled first by Satvahanas. The Pallavas rule under the Satvahanas. म्हणजे टॉपला कोण होतं? Satvahanas. ही डायनेस्टी एक. त्याच्यानंतर त्यांच्या अंडर कोण काम करत होतं? तर Pallavas. After a few generations, the Pallava kings overthrew the Satvahanas and established their dynasty in the region. So this is how Pallava took over from Satvahanas. They went on expanding their kingdom. Now if you compare the first picture, the first map, and now the second map, it is shown in the green color, which area they started expanding. They went on expanding their kingdom. The Cholas were Samantas of Pallavas. See, we started with Satvahanas. Then we came to Pallavas. Now from Pallavas we moved on to Cholas. They overthrew the Pallavas and established their rule. Got it? How that sequence is, that we call it as a chronology in history. This dynasty was the longest ruling dynasty of South India. So understood how they come in the ruler, or how they started ruling by overthrowing which dynasty? The Chola territory stretched all the way to Maldives, Malaysia and Indonesia. Now they have shown us with a blue marking which territory they were ruling on. So how big the region is. If we start from this Nagapattinam, Tanjavur. From here, they have captured the part of Lanka. They moved to Maldives and they moved to Malaysia, and this much territory they were ruling on. So they become more powerful. They built many temples, sculptures, art, architecture. Really took off well during their rule. Means during the rule of Chola dynasty, these are all the developments: building of splendid temples, then sculptures, art that was promoted in their ruling period. Means the opportunities were given to the artists to present their art, to build the splendid temples, to explore new architecture. That is all possible mostly in the Chola dynasty. They planned irrigation well, so agriculture flourished. Means what? Irrigation systems, how the water supply should be given to farms continuously. That they thought about and they worked on it. So agriculture flourished. Means the farming is now in a good stage. Means they are getting more and more crops, and because of that they are earning lot of money. They had a disciplined government, a strong navy, and very powerful armies. Now, if you see all these three sentences, where you will come to know that they have developed in each area, means in the cultural, you can say cultural field, they are doing well by giving encouragement to the artist, by building new temples, by building new buildings. So they were doing very good in cultural ways. Now they are doing well, they were doing well in agricultural activities also, because they have thought about the irrigation systems and they planned accordingly. And then they talked about their strong navy and powerful army. Means if you see that they are doing very well in each and every field, isn't it? That way they can become more powerful, isn't it? What brought their rule to an end? Though these are the favoring things to them, everything is working out very well, everything is flourishing. Still, what could be the reason that they were overthrown by someone? The Pandya. The Pandya dynasty started becoming stronger around the start of the 13th century. Now, as I told you in the beginning of our G meet in the first period, I told you that we are taking an account of 1000 years. Now we have started from 7th century. Now if you see this sentence, we have reached up to 13th century. Isn't it? That is why I said it is an account of 1000 year. Now the Pandya dynasty started becoming stronger around the start of the 13th century. Finally, the Cholas were overthrown by Pandyas. So the pattern of a strong kingdom going into decline after a few generations and a new one becoming stronger and overthrowing it continued. Correct? What is the meaning of that? Now I will share you the textbook. From the textbook we have to read from page number 22 till the end of the lesson, that is page number 27. Okay, I will share you the textbook with you now. A closer look at the Cholas. Now see here the south part of our India, where they have mentioned in the capital letters the name of that dynasty, Cholas, and it is shaded with a color, faint red color. So you will come to know that where it is extended and how it is extended in the southern part of India. Now we will read the story about that, how that dynasty developed. Okay. How did the Cholas rise to power? A minor chiefly family known as Mattarayar held power in the Kaveri Delta. They were subordinate to the Pallava kings of Kanchipuram. Vijayalaya, who belonged to the ancient chiefly family of the Cholas from Urayur, captured the delta from the Mattarayar in the middle of the 9th century. He built the town of Tanjavur and a temple for goddess Nishumba Sundani there. The successors of Vijayalaya conquered neighboring regions and the kingdoms grew in size and power. The Pandyan and the Pallava territories to the south and the north were made of this kingdom. So in the PPT, it is mentioned in easier and simpler words which dynasty is overthrown by which dynasty and how that chronology continued. So from PPT, it will be easy for you to understand, but do not ignore the content from the textbook because I'm repeatedly telling you this is very much helpful for your MCQ purposes. Now Raja Raja first, considered the most powerful Chola ruler, became king in 1985 and expanded control over most of these areas. He also recognized the administration of the empire. Raja Raja's son Rajendra I continued his policies and even raided the Ganga Valley, means he expanded the territory more. Sri Lanka and countries of Southeast Asia developing a navy for these expeditions. Now, splendid temples and bronze sculpture. The big temples of Tanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram, built by Raja Raja and Rajendra, are architectural and sculptural marvels. Means still they are existing in India and they are the most marvelous pieces of architecture that we have. We are having a very rich history. We should be proud of about this. Next, Chola temples often became the nuclei of settlements which grew around them. Nuclei of settlement is, yesterday we had discussed one question, why these temples were becoming the hub of economic, social and cultural activities. So nuclei म्हणजे त्याचा एक सेंटर झाला होता तो. Okay, where people from different groups, they used to gather, they used to have meetings over there. So that is why it is called as nuclei of settlements which grew around them. These were centers of craft production. Temples were also endowed with land by rulers as well as by others. The produce of this land, I am moving on to page number 24. The produce of this land went into maintaining all the specialties who worked at the temple and very often lived near it. Priests, garland makers, cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, etc. So around the temples, these are the group of peoples who could earn money. Garland makers. आपण बघतो देवळांच्या आजूबाजूला कोणी कोणी दुकानं थाटलेली असतात. तर हार तुरेवाले असतात, नारळवाले असतात, फळवाले असतात. In those days, it is priests, garland makers, cooks, sweepers, musicians, dancers, etc. In other words, temples were not only places of worship, they were the hub of economic, social and cultural life as well. So this question we have discussed yesterday, correct? The answer is very easy. The different type of people or different group of people do meet in those temples to exchange their ideas, to expand their businesses, to exchange the culture. So that is why it is called as the hub. Amongst the crafts associated with temples, the making of bronze images was the most distinctive. Now, if you look at the picture, it is the it is the craft bronze image made out of the metal bronze. It is the idol of the god. Chola bronze images are considered amongst the finest in the world. Means the bronze idols which are made in the Chola area, those are found as the most expensive one, or the quality wise it is the best out what we are finding out in India. While most images were of deities, sometimes images were made of devotees as well. तर ह्या मूर्ती कुणाकुणाच्या होत्या, तर देवांच्या तर आपण बघतोच सगळीकडे, पण जे डिवोटीज होते म्हणजे ज्यांची जे लोक पूजा करत होते किंवा ज्यांची खूप भक्ती होती, अशा लोकांच्या सुद्धा त्या काळी मूर्ती बनवल्या गेल्या. Agriculture and irrigation. Many of the achievements of the Chola were made possible through new development in agriculture. Look at map 2 again. Notice that the river Kaveri branches off into several small channels before emptying into Bay of Bengal. Now, if I show you again the map 2, okay, now you can find out the flow of rivers which is emptying into the Bay of Bengal. Water from the channels also provides the necessary moisture for agriculture, particularly the cultivation of rice. As you know, river carries lot of minerals, and when it flows along its channel, it deposits its minerals in the soil. So that way soil becomes fertile. Although the agriculture had developed earlier in other parts of Tamil Nadu, it was only from the 5th or 6th century that this area was opened up for large scale cultivation. Forest had to be cleared in some regions. Land had to be leveled in other areas. In the delta region, embankments had to be built to prevent flooding and canals had to be constructed to carry water to the fields. In many areas, two crops were grown in a year. Now, as we have learned in the PPT that agricultural activities flourished, why that Chola dynasty could survive for longer? Because if you see this last paragraph which I am highlighting over here, these are the measures they have taken so that they could have a good irrigation system, good agricultural patterns, good crop growing. Okay, so these are the measures taken during that dynasty. So that is why that dynasty, this is one more reason why that dynasty could survive for longer. In many cases, it was necessary to water crops artificially. A variety of methods were used for irrigation. In some areas, wells were dug. In other places, huge tanks were constructed to collect rainwater. Remember that irrigation works require planning, organizing labor and resources, maintaining these works, and deciding on how water is to be shared. Most of the new rulers, as well as people living in villages, took an active interest in these activities. Now, in modern ages, you know, you have learned in grade 6 science, drip irrigation, canal irrigation. So, in those time, those techniques were not there. But people used to dig wells. They used to make streams. So, this way, the water supply to the crops could be continuous. Okay. You have learned about the sprinklers also, sprinkling irrigation. But that these all techniques were not existing at that time. So what was the other thing? Digging well or making streams, giving the water a channel to flow towards the farms, that all people were also taking very active participation in these activities. Now I am moving on to the next, that is the administration of the empire. How was the administration organized? Settlements of peasants known as Ur, you have to remember this for MCQ, became prosperous with the spread of irrigation agriculture. Groups of such villages form larger units called Nadu. So you have to remember what is meaning of Nadu and what is meaning of Ur. Ur is settlements of peasants and groups of such village form larger units called Nadu. The village council and the Nadu performed several administrative functions, including dispensing justice and collecting taxes. So we have learned what is administrative part means. To run such a huge kingdom, the king should be very wealthy, powerful. So to be wealthy and powerful, he need money. So how he will collect the money? Through the taxes. So, and we have learned that the authority of collecting taxes is given to which group of people, that we have learned yesterday. So rich peasants of the Vellela caste exercised considerable control over the affairs of the Nadu under the supervision of the central Chola government. The Chola kings gave some rich landowners titles like a Velan or peasant serving three kings. Okay. Muvenda Velan. Okay. Then Arayar, that is chief, etc., as markers of respect, and entrusted them with important offices at the state, at the center. This part we have covered yesterday, if you do remember. Correct? The authority of collecting taxes was given to the influential people, the educated people, or the people from the families of kings itself. So this is about all that. The reference of that is here. Now I am moving on to the next part, next page. We have seen that Brahmanas often receive land grants or Brahmadaya. As a result, a large number of Brahmanas settlements emerged in the Kaveri valleys as in other parts of South India. So we learn why Brahmanas were given land grants and by whom. Each Brahmadaya was looked after by an assembly or sabha of prominent Brahmana landholders. These assemblies worked very efficiently. Their decisions were recorded in detail in inscriptions, often on the stone walls of temples. Association of traders known as Nagarams also occasionally perform administrative functions in towns. Inscriptions from Uttara Merar in Chingleput district, Tamil Nadu, provide details of the way in which the Sabha was organized. The Sabha had separate committees to look after irrigation works, gardens, temples, etc. Names of these eligible to be members of this committee were written on small tickets of palm leaf. These tickets were put into an earthenware pot from which a young boy was asked to take out the tickets one by one for each committee. So how the Sabha works? Sabha म्हणजे काय? सभा म्हणजे सभाच ऍक्च्युअली आपण त्याला मराठीत पण सभा म्हणतो. तर ही कशासाठी जमायची? तर हाऊ द ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ दॅट किंगडम शुड बी डन. So for that purpose they used to garden and the work will be allotted to them. Okay. Now this is our page number 27. This we have learned about the inscriptions and texts, correct? So who could be a member of Sabha? The Uttara Merar inscription lays down all those who wish to. These are the conditions. The question is there in your worksheet. Who could be the member of the Sabha? These are the conditions put for that members of Sabha. So we will read out one by one. All those who wish to become members of the Sabha should be owners of land from which land revenue is collected. They should have their own homes. So this is the first condition. They should be between 35 to 70 years of age, second condition. They should have knowledge of the Vedas. They should be well versed in administrative matters and honest. If anyone has been a member of any committee in the last 3 years, he cannot become a member of another committee. This is one more criteria. Anyone who has not submitted his accounts and those of his relatives cannot contest the election. आता हा जो लास्ट पार्ट आहे मी जो हायलाइट करतेय, this is something related to our political science also. From that century or from that period of time also, how it was working, the election process, why it was necessary, who could participate. So this is again we can relate it to our political science concepts, correct? While inscription tell us about kings and powerful men, here is an expert from Periya Puranam, a 12th century Tamil work which informs us about the lives of ordinary men and women. Ordinary means common, not about the king, but about the common people. On the outskirts of Adanur was a small hamlet of Pulayas, a name used for social group considered outcast by Brahmanas and Velalas. Studded with small huts under old thatches and inhabited by agrarian laborers engaged in menial occupations. In the thresholds of the huts, covered with strips of leather, little chickens moved about in groups. Dark children who wore bracelets of black iron were prancing about carrying little puppies. In the shade of the Marudu, that is Arjuna trees, a female laborer put her baby to sleep on a sheet of leather. There were mango trees from whose branches drums were hanging, and under the coconut palms, in little hollows on the ground, tiny headed bitches lay after whelping. So this is all about the life of common people. Okay, so after reading out this inscription and after knowing about the Chola dynasty, we complete our lesson over here. We end our lesson over here, the king and the new kings and kingdoms. But to make this short on one page, now I'm going to share you the mind map of this whole lesson. That way it will be very easy to remember how it should be remembered. Okay, now I'm sharing with you the mind map. Now see how to read this mind map, how to remember the whole lesson on one page itself. Now here it is the new kings and kingdoms. We are the heading of our lesson. Now you have to start anti-clockwise. The number one over here, emergence of new dynasties. What all topics we have learned in this lesson, those are covered with numbers over here. The emergence of new dynasty. In that what we learn? Kings name warrior chiefs or landlords as samantas or subordinates who in turn became independent and established their own kingdom. So this is we have learned there. Continue in that topic only. Their sons inherited the throne after them, followed by their sons and so on, creating a dynasty. Have you understood now? Okay. So how the emergence of new dynasties by overthrowing the previous one. So this is under the heading emergence of new dynasties. Now the second part of the lesson that we read is the administration in the kingdoms. Now once you have established your kingdom, now the next question is how to administer it. So in that topic we have learned kings collected taxes to maintain the kingdom. Correct? Now in that what they did, people paid in cash, in kind or labor. This also we have learned. Cash म्हणजे ते पैसेच देत होते. Kind म्हणजे whatever they produce in their farms, they used to give it to the king as a tax. Otherwise, by offering the services, whatever job is given to you, you have to do that job, and that way you can pay the tax to the king. The next part, tax collectors were appointed to collect taxes. Correct? That also we learn. And they passed on their post to their sons. So it is generation to generation they are doing the job of collecting taxes. Now I am moving on to the third part of the lesson, that is prashastis and land grants. So there we have covered what is prashasti means, we learn, who wrote those we learn, about whom it is written in that also we learn. So that is Brahmanas wrote prashastis praising the king and helped in administration of the kingdom. The king rewarded the Brahmanas with land grants inscribed on a copper plates. The copper plates चा पण फोटो आपण बघितला पीपीटी मध्ये आणि टेक्स्टबुक मध्ये पण आहे. So on that the inscriptions were written on those copper plates. Correct? Now the fourth part, warfare for wealth. तुम्हाला तर वेल्थ जमा करायची आहे. तुमचं किंगडम अजून वाढवायचं आहे तर किंगला काय काय करायला लागणार आहे? Kings built lavish palaces and temples to show off their power. तुम्ही खूप श्रीमंत आहात ते तुम्ही कसं दाखवून देणार आहे? By building lavish palaces. Correct? Next, foreign invaders, sorry, I have to start from here. Foreign invaders attacked the palaces and temples and stole all the wealth. And kings fought each other for control over certain areas of land. So this all under is covered under the heading warfare for wealth. Now the next part, that is fifth part of our lesson, that is a closer look that we just learn about the Cholas. Correct? Cholas overthrew the Pallavas and gradually conquered South India. Correct? Then expanded territory to Malaysia, Indonesia and Maldives. And how could they expand this? During their dynasty, art flourished, well-planned agriculture, well-administrative empire, disciplined government, strong and powerful army and navy. So in all fields, in all departments, they were doing well. Eventually overthrown by the Pandyas, though they were working very well, but still another dynasty that overthrew them. And this way the Chola dynasty was taken by the Pandyas. So this here we complete our lesson, new kings and kingdoms. So in the next lecture I will be starting the next lesson.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.